and states because we will hit. Okay.
We're live. So welcome to Battle Buddies Live this evening. We're joined by some special guests and a new fresh face. I'll let him introduce himself. We always let the fresh guests go first, Damian. So
thanks.
But what we're going to talk about tonight, guys, is how to crush your interview for jobs that are typically more blue collar in nature. So we've got tonight a couple of experts in that area who've been hiring people for a long time, and they would never think of getting rid of a vet. So they're going to tell you exactly how you got to interview with them. So if we could go Damian, Sarah, Pete, and Sue, that'd be wonderful for quick intros. Then we'll just dig right on into it.
Sure. My name is Damian Darbo. I'm the operations manager for Iron Mountain. I oversee 3 states and close to 17 facilities that have upwards to many different departments. So I've been with the company 20 years. So yeah, I've been interviewing for quite a long time.
Okay, I'm Sarah Farstead. I am with Worth Electronics Midcom out of Watertown, South Dakota. I've been with the company 9 years, and I've been a hiring manager for, I think now 6 of those years, where I am directly responsible for the interviews for folks on my teams. My job includes managing a warehouse as well as purchasing team. And so we definitely bring in a lot of folks that, don't necessarily have 4-year college degrees and aspirations of being a CEO of a major business, but it's definitely a job that we've seen some turnover for various reasons. And so, yeah, there's a lot of good experience coming out of there as well.
Hey everybody, your old pal, Pete LaValle, your resume resource for the group. I am an accomplished resume writer, but before that, I had to do a lot of things and meet a lot of people and all kinds of stuff before I got really good at it and had that knowledge base to do that. And that includes 23 years in the Air Force. So, next.
Nice.
Hi everybody, I'm Sue Rieger. I am a 26-year USAR retired Master Sergeant, currently working for Accenture as a business operations analyst.
So, and let's start off by Damian and Sarah. Plug in the company that you work for and your availability for these guys on the page here as well, so they don't have to wait and watch 26 minutes of this before they get to that point. So Damian, do you mind saying what you're looking for?
So at Iron Mountain, we're a technology information protection company. Our model is kind of like we protect the world's information as if it were our own. So basically, it's a bunch of warehouses that store records, paper records, documents, vital records, medical banks, Fortune 1000, Fortune 500 companies. We do general warehouse industrial work where it's putting away or picking material off of shelves. We do data entry, which is keying metadata into our computer system. We do special projects where we go out to customer sites and we do work there. We do imaging as well, so converting the paper documents into digital documents, as well as we do cloud protection and stuff like that, data management sites and things of that order. So we do quite a bit. We're not well known, we're not well advertised out there, but if you do any type of work in the records industry, you would have heard about us. We're the largest right now.
Sarah, you're on mute. Do you mind plugging your company?
Yep. So at Worth Electronics, our primary focus in the Americas is actually designing electronics with companies around the world. So whether it's Bose or Keurig or Genie overhead door, things like that, our sales focus is to work with somebody designing an electronic with an on-off switch to get circuit boards that we manufacture on the board. And so what we do, our headquarters here in the Americas is based in Watertown, South Dakota. We have about 125 jobs in Watertown, and we have about another 45 jobs around the Americas, Canada, North America, and Americas, and then Mexico. And what we do primarily in Watertown is all of where the rubber hits the road. We've got R&D, we've got IT, accounting, and then our warehouse and purchasing side. And so what I do with the warehouse It's a lot of small parcel. So you don't always think warehouse, you automatically think big, dirty forklifts, heavy machinery. This is all small parcels, little carts, radios playing, folks having a good time. And so we bring on, people that are interested in having a good 8 to 5 job, no weekends, no holidays. And that's kind of what we focus on with what we hire in Watertown.
Nice. So the only question I want to get off my chest to get started, and then I'll let you guys talk about how you interview people and what you're looking for, is the dreaded, tell me your biggest weakness question. What do you two look for as far as hiring managers? What types of responses, and how do you suggest these guys handle that? Feel free to go, either one of you.
So to be honest, that's a stupid question because there is no good answer when you say, well, what's your biggest weakness? I don't know. The better way, a good hiring manager will say, if I called your boss at your last job, what would they tell me is one thing you could work on to be a better employee? Because that takes it out of their central focus on themselves and makes them think about somebody else looking at them and how would they as an employee be perceived. And so, if you're a hiring manager, if you're a person asking those questions, try to ask a more circular question where it allows the interviewee to step away from that looking at me and give them a chance to maybe think outside their box a little bit. Like, what would my best friend say? What would my mother-in-law say I should improve on? Something that kind of triggers a different train of thoughts.
The MMPI works the same way. It's 654 questions, just like that. Like the first 100 are how do you see yourself, and then the next couple hundred are how do others see you. So it's the same thing, right? Damian, how about
we use that tool, the Predictive Index, with a bunch of adjectives. We use that as a tool for every single employee that comes in. They complete that before their interview, and we go over it with them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's huge.
That's a crazy test to go through. Okay. Well, you guys must really care about your employees because that's pretty expensive to administer. Huh. Okay. Damian, how about yourself?
So yeah, I've heard that question many times. My supervisors actually asked that question before I told them to stop asking that question. For numerous different responses, like, "Oh, I don't have any weaknesses," or, some stuff like, I may be a little bit lazy or stuff like that. Don't ever answer the question like that. But the good response that I've actually heard as a result of that is basically, I have certain challenges and this is what I'm doing to improve those certain challenges. I myself and my team personally look for camaraderie, basically being able to integrate with the team. Nowadays, it's all team orientated. The companies are basically looking out for their employees. Unfortunately, during the pandemic right now, there's been a ton of layoffs and stuff like that. But the main focus is not to focus on your weaknesses, is what you can bring to the team as a result. Try to steer yourself away from that weakness question and say, you know what, I've got some, but here's what I can do for you. That's what I look for.
So a work in progress type of response is a good response, regardless of what it is. And what you're saying is it's probably a red flag for where you're at. Maybe to take that as a temp job or something.
I'm sorry, what?
That might be like a red flag. I can tell you this. The worst place I ever worked in my life hired me on the spot on the first interview for a sales job. Okay.
McDonald's? No.
Yeah, you'd think so. And I should have, it was a learning lesson for me. It was something that I took away, that if I ever see that again, where somebody's overly anxious to hire me on the spot, I mean, I know I'm pretty good at what I do, but there should be an entire process after that of other people talking to me and stuff like that. So that was my takeaway. So I would think nowadays, what you're saying is, if you're not hearing something about how do you fit in on a team, you may not find yourself in a real welcoming environment. And these negativity questions probably are going to lead to more negativity, is kind of what I'm taking away from the two of you guys.
Yeah, the best advice I've ever gotten from my bosses, and I've had good and bad, is perception is reality. So how you're perceived, how you act, and how you interface is that person's reality, and know your audience. Because, I have a type of personality that I like to kid around, but I've worked in many different industries, and if you work in a type of machine shop or mechanic shop, the humor there is a little bit more colorful and may not be appropriate to interviews. So just know your audience and, be respectful at all times.
I think we have the most colorful population that the world has ever seen with vets. That's my presumption. Okay, so I'm going to do the best I can to stop talking. So do you two mind kind of open dialogue between the two of you, how you like to interview people for these spots on your team? Just kind of a nice casual conversation here, I think would bring some nerves down for these guys going in on their first interview when they're coming straight out of the Army or Navy, or don't want to say the MC thing because those guys are going to be raw and all week next week. I'm already getting the cringe from that. Anyways, Damian and Sarah, the floor is yours.
Sure. So, a lot of what our company looks for is life experience. We've really gotten on that bandwagon of, it's not so much what degree you have or where you've worked, so much as the experiences that you're bringing into the job. Our company loves to have fresh ideas, people that come from a variety of backgrounds, because it helps those of us that have been at the job for years. We get stuck in that tunnel vision of, well, we've always done it this way. You bring some fresh blood in, and they're usually the first ones to say, why? Can you explain this? Why are we doing this? And a lot of times it's kind of that awakening moment that says, oh, well, you know what? Actually, we might be able to do this a better way, but we're just so used to it. For our interview process, I have 2 team leaders that help with the interviews. So we interview together with a person from HR. First interview, it's very casual. In fact, I had one this morning, and the gal told me it was the most relaxed, laid-back interview she's ever experienced, and really, really enjoyed. Because we just have a conversation with the person, talk to them, get to know them, and the conversation just directs its own questions. Then we have these little signals between ourselves. If we really like the candidate and we think they're a good fit, we offer to bring them in for a 2-hour job shadow. My team gets to meet the applicant, and the applicant gets to meet my team. They get to see the environment. They get to see the job. Not every job can do that. For safety reasons, they don't get to do anything. They're simply job shadowing. And then from that point, if we have any other questions, we'll do a second interview. If the job shadow goes really well, we'll offer them a position. If the interview is not going well, we give them a tour of the facility, and then we politely lead them out the front door. So that way we can have in the moment, not waste any more time. And then we come up with a good reason to let them know later why they maybe weren't a good fit for the position. But again, a lot of positive feedback having that job shadow. And we've had folks that have honestly said, I don't think this is the right fit. It wasn't what I was expecting. And other folks that have been, with us now for 3-4 years because of that opportunity to really meet the team. Additionally, Watertown is a small community. So you get a lot of folks moving within the industrial, the manufacturing community. And all of a sudden, an interviewee will come back, and later an employer will come up and say, I worked with this person. Here's either my super high praise, bring them on board, or here's some red flags that I've personally experienced within the recent past. And we do take that feedback very seriously because it's firsthand experience of what somebody could or could not bring into our team.
Damian.
And, to echo a lot what Sarah has already said, with the way we interview people for coming into our job is we look for a couple things. Is one, we want to make sure that they're comfortable, so we do whatever we can to make them comfortable. And trust me, during this pandemic has been a huge wake-up call on different ways of doing things, because normally we'd invite you in, come on, sit down, here, have a glass of water, have some coffee, let's have a conversation. Now it's a lot with videos and Zoom meetings like we're doing right now. And you know, again, knowing your audience and perception is reality. So a lot of interviews have stopped really quickly as a result of some background. The other aspect is do your research. I want to have a conversation with a person. I want them to be prepared and ready, know exactly what they're walking into and what they want. A lot of interviews I have with people right off the street, or people just clicking, this is a good pay, let's try this, you know, and not do any type of research on my company, and not have any idea whatsoever on what they're walking into. Just, to me, it doesn't show like you have put enough effort in and enough respect into applying for the position, and those interviews tend to go really quick. Comfortable, you know, I'm a guy just like everybody else. You know, I'm not somebody, you know, Sue can probably attest to this, you know, I'm a very big guy, so I can be very intimidating, so I have to be very aware of my size. But, you know, on the other aspect, I just want you comfortable. I want you to have a conversation with me, because I'm going to get more out of you talking to you, talking about your personality, talking about your experiences, than I would just sitting here in front, asking you a question, waiting for an answer. And then also questions. I love questions. I love to brag about what my team does and what we do. So, you know, I want you to be just as passionate asking me and wanting to be part of that team as me wanting to tell you what that is all about.
Damian,
so, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're talking about questions and the interviewee asking questions, what would you identify as a good question versus a horrible question?
A good question. Well, you know, over my course of 20 years, you know, I've adjusted what a good question is and what a bad question is. A good question to me is something that somebody would go, you know, I have this type of experience. I've done research with your company. I think I can bring this team to offer to the team. Do you think that's something that would be beneficial? Or, you know, I've brought up these tons of ideas. How well do you think ideas are interpreted with your company? Bad questions is just, you know, how much do you think I can make? When can I get promoted? You know, how long do I have to be in the position before I can get promoted? Stuff like that. That to me just means you're here to collect a paycheck and move on. And those people are great too. I've got quite a few of them that work for me that just collect a paycheck. They come in, do their job, and they're done. They don't want anything else. But nowadays I'm looking for, you know, people that want to be part of the team, the people that will go that extra mile, and the superstars win more than the steady eddies.
Yeah, and for us too, a lot of those exact same things. If they're coming in and the first thing they're asking about is how much they make and, you know, when they can get promoted, they're not really team focused. They're very self-focused. And we have positions in our company that can use personalities like that. But for me, I think one of the best questions I ever received was, why do you stay at this company as long as you've been there? You know, and that, you know, that tells them, okay, I've been here 9 years. Why haven't I left? What's so special about this company that I'm still here for 9 years? And to me, it's not the pay. It's culture and it's benefits. And it's those more tangible things that make a positive work environment. And we find a lot of folks are really circling around to those. Our HR does a fantastic job pre-screening over the phone before somebody makes it in the door for an in-person interview or a tele-interview. And that's one of the things that they identify right away, is if they're asking about automatically how much pay is one of their first questions. Usually their resume reflects a job hopper. If you are transitioning jobs every year, you're a very risky hire. If it's 2+ years and you've got a good reason, layoffs or moving, things like that, those can be explained. But because you didn't like it anymore, you're still finding your way. Why should I hire you and be that person that takes the risk? What are you bringing to us that says you're going to stay with us for an extended period of time? So yeah, if you're going to ask a question back, definitely ask the interviewer why they've stayed at the company as long as they have. What makes it so special to hold on to that position?
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
sorry. So question for the two of you. I hold in my hand a notebook. What do you think of somebody that walks into the door with a notebook and a pen with 10 to 20 questions written down and a little background on the company, for example, or maybe they know that you're a hobbyist of collecting goldfish or something like that because you posted it on LinkedIn. What do you think of having yourself prepared like that with a notebook? Because a lot of guys have too much pride to use a notebook. I'm just curious. Sounds like you guys have got a lot of experience hiring people. So your perspectives, please.
Anybody that takes notes is going to make it to the second interview in my experience, because that just shows me that they're passionate about it and they want to write down stuff so they can go back and review it. I'm always telling, the last part of my interview is really drilling people for questions. What do you want to know? What can I tell you? What can I, sell you on this being the right fit for you? And a lot of times, the high schoolers, even the people that, just, are job hopping, they don't have any questions. But to me, that just shows that if you come in with a notebook and a pen, you're my person right there.
Agreed. This is the one opportunity where you would not use your phone to take a digital note. Phones, don't have your phone there with your notes on it. Bring a notebook or a printed piece of paper. The fact that you took the time to prepare questions, whether it's about the company or about the job or what to expect, shows a level of attention and care that we would look for an employee, because you've already taken time to research and show us what's important to you for things to know and ask. So 100%, don't be afraid to bring a notebook and a pen with questions. As soon as that interviewer says, do you have any questions? Your mind will go blank and you'll be sitting there and all the great ideas you had driving in are gone. So write them down, bring them in, bring a pen. Absolutely. That is not a problem. Just don't use a digital device in this case.
And don't be afraid to take notes during the interview. I'm jotting down notes about you, jot them down about me and the company.
So I'm wondering, and Damian kind of touched a little bit about it, with everything happening with COVID right now, what can people expect if they're doing an in-person interview versus a Zoom interview? And in person is obviously you can make that connection. How do you make that connection when you're on a Zoom call right now? Either one of you.
That's tough.
It is, yeah.
It's hard, So how things work. So there's a recruiter that usually makes the in-phone. So you submit a resume, the recruiter reviews the resume, then there's a phone interview. If the recruiter likes you, they're going to pass you off to the hiring person. The hiring person right now in our company, it's a Zoom meeting. And it's use the video. Don't be afraid of the video. Don't, not have the video on. I know it's a little daunting to be on video and stuff like that, but just, it's hard to sell yourself virtually, but that's kind of the environment we're in right now. Just be on video. Just make sure you're, smiling. Smiling's good. Sue, I can see a smile. Come on, there it goes.
There you go.
And then
I have a question for you guys.
For getting her to laugh.
She always laughed at me.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
What impact has thank you notes had on you, and what kind of format did those notes arrive to you at?
We've received the occasional handwritten, kind of small, like formal thank you card from an employee. And I honestly can't remember. We received them so infrequently.
Listen, guys out there.
I don't remember if that, I mean, to me, if I'm going to hire them, the thank you note isn't going to make a difference, because their credentials and their ability to talk about what they're bringing to the team, like Damian said, says more to me than the thank you note. An email is okay. A thank you note is fine. But I think in today's day and age, I don't know that many folks honestly really care about the thank you note anymore. It's really what you're bringing in that interview that is really going to put you either a level up or not get you a second call.
And I would agree 100% with Sarah in that, but there's a little bit of addendum to that with what my team likes to see is if you want to be noticed, if you want to stand out, you know, a quick little email saying, hey, thanks for the interview. Thank you for your time. You know, I appreciate the effort. Hope you keep me in mind. Keeps you fresh in the hiring person's mind.
From an advertising and marketing standpoint, that's a great statement that you just made, because it's all about being different. I have to think, if you have two candidates, all things being equal, one sends a note, one doesn't, you might be more likely to remember Mr. Thank You.
Yep.
So.
And I know we're running low on time. One pet peeve, one of my biggest pet peeves that I have is the, I don't know, answer to a question. Don't ever give an, I don't know, answer to an interview question. Whatever it is, even if you need to take a minute and just kind of think about it, there's never a wrong answer. Don't make it some cheesy answer about the job. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Oh, in a management position with the company. No, in 5 years, I see myself having fun on the weekends in a job that pays my bills, and enjoying life with my family, my friends, you know, taking vacations, you know, being able to really have a good balance in my life. Maybe it is being a CEO. That's okay. But don't give a cheesy answer, and don't ever say, I don't know. Come up with some sort of an answer. Give the truth. It doesn't have to be about the job. Just be yourself. And that goes a long way with the interviewers.
Yeah, definitely. Pauses. Don't be afraid of pauses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't be afraid to re-ask the question back to the hiring person and say, you know, just so that you can put it in your own words, just to clarify on how you should be answering. And don't be afraid to say, you know what, let me think about that for a second, and, you know, I'll come back to that in a minute, and just continue on with the interview. That just means you're engaged.
Mm-hmm.
You guys stole my last question. That's perfect. Yeah. And the example I use is Obama used to pause all the time when he would be doing his speeches, right? And if a president of the United States can do that, I'm sure you guys don't mind a little pause here and there for a well thought out response to your questions, right? As hiring managers. So
Exactly. Yep.
you don't have to have the answers right away. We're in the time of Google search engines. When you got to look up questions, go get some false information from Wikipedia, fake news from various news organizations. It's political day today. I had to throw one in there. But if we cut this out right now, we are on time. Perfect. Do you guys have any final words for these fellas and ladies that may be watching this evening? Like one great thing, one great takeaway for each of them from the two of you.
For me right now, because I almost experienced it tonight coming on live here, if you find yourself in the unique situation of having a virtual interview, test your media a day or two before the interview. Make sure your phone works, your microphone works, your camera works. Download the apps. Most media you can use without a login. You can use as a guest account for Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Teams. They aren't all the same. They can be complicated. Feel free to reach out to, you know, us on Battle Buddies. A lot of us have used it. I've used all of these medias with customers, with interviewees. Happy to test it with you the day before to make sure when your interview comes up, your equipment is going to work and there's no delays and you're prepared for that interview.
I like it. Damian?
Very good.
Mute.
You're on mute, D.
Sorry about that. So, you know, be comfortable. You know, be prepared. Do mock interviews with family members, with friends, with previous bosses, you know, just so that you can walk in comfortable. You know, don't be afraid, don't be nervous. We're all people, we're all in it together, but I will be more forgiving if someone is more personable than somebody that's so rigid. Is basically the advice I have. You know, I've interviewed a lot. I've given a lot of interviews, and the people that stick out more to me than anybody else, that they're comfortable in their own skin and they're confident.
I think that's a great place to end. So
Excellent.
appreciate Damian, you coming on for the first time here. You're welcome. This is awfully low attendance for our live stream. I think we've had, what, 12 or 13 here a couple weeks ago, right? Sarah, thanks for joining once again.
Always.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that helps out these guys a lot. So that's all we got for tonight, everybody. We will see you later. And don't let these nerves get the best of you tonight during this election stuff, because we won't know anything for at least a month or two, maybe even 3, who knows. So, all right. Have a good evening, everybody.
Ciao.